Hello, welcome to or back to Oh My Bookishness. I've got Eleanor here with me today. Say hi, Eleanor. Hi. She's my precious baby. It's been a hot minute since I filmed a video, and you know, I thought what better way to get back into things than doing a chatter video, because all I have to do is chatter, which I'm very good at. I can just go on and on forever. But most of this video will probably be a book haul because I've purchased a lot of books lately. Despite my better judgment, I just keep buying them. I might talk a little bit about what I'm doing with writing so far, and I don't know, just bookish things. That's what chatter is for. I'm just here to talk about books and ramble on and on forever. So first, let's talk about books that I've purchased recently. One of them is The Readers of Broken Wheel Recommend, which is a contemporary fiction story that takes place in a made-up town in Iowa. I live in Iowa. I picked this one for a book club that I lead at the library where I work. It's a book club for adults who are 55 and older. So I picked this one, and I found this copy at Goodwill for like 88 cents. Because I thought, oh, I'm gonna love it, so I'll want to have a copy forever. And I have a full review on my blog, so I won't waste your time explaining everything about this, but I didn't dislike it, but I didn't really like it either. I think it was just too long. So I think I'm gonna be unhauling this one. I'm not sure if it'll go on my Pengo books or maybe just be donated to the library, we'll see. I was shopping at Five Below the other day, and sometimes they have books. I think they're usually overstocked books from bookstores or online stores, I don't know. Because just randomly they'll have books sometimes. And I found this graphic novel called Stepping Stones there the other day for like $5, and I've read this book before and I really enjoy it. It's very good summer vibes. It takes place on a farm in the summertime, and there's like lots of fruits and vegetables, and it's very cute. There's a sequel to, I think, called Apple Crush, and that's super cute and very autumnal. So when I saw this one for $5, I just snatched it up because I think I want to reread it this summer. I love books that are set in the summer. I don't know, I feel like especially children's books are good summer reads. You know, it's quintessential summer activities, going to the farmer's market, playing in the pool, running around in the woods. Kids know how to enjoy summer best because they don't have to work. So I really enjoy juvenile books about the summertime because it makes me feel like a kid again. I also recently have been kind of into independent bookstores. There's not a lot in my area, but there are a few, and as I become a more confident driver, I am able to drive to them more easily. I really got hooked on them because in the past I hadn't had much experience with independent bookstores. I was always like, oh yes, shop small, don't buy off of Amazon if you can help it. You know, independent bookstores are amazing. I wanted to own an independent bookstore for a long time until originally I wanted to be a librarian, and then I was like, no, I want to own a bookstore, and then I dropped out of college and now I work in a library, so, you know, we come full circle. But, you know, I just love independent bookstores. And back at Christmas time, let me reach over here. I was in Ames, Iowa, and there is a bookstore there called Dog-Eared Books. I highly recommend visiting it if you're ever in Ames, Iowa. It is so fun in there. And they had a dog, just like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about you enough. I'm talking about dogs. Eleanor doesn't want to be part of this. But they had a dog that was just like curled up on a little chair. I'm gonna try to insert a picture here. Anyways, while I was in Ames and in Dog-Eared Books, I picked up 3 books, because you can't go to an independent bookstore and not buy books. It's just, I don't think it's possible. It's never been done. Never been done before. So while I was there, I saw they had Mysteries of Thorn Manor, which I really want to read. It's a novella that is kind of a sequel-ish to Sorcery of Thorns. And so I want to reread Sorcery of Thorns and then read this one for the first time. So I'm very excited to have gotten that from the small bookstore. And then they had a local authors section. So I grabbed this one from there. It's called Daughter of the Wilds. It just sounded really cool. So I've got this. And then they had a display for their book club books, and I thought this mystery called The Woman in the Library sounded really interesting, so I grabbed that too. I haven't read it yet. I haven't, pretty much most of the books in this book haul are ones that I have not quite gotten to yet, but I'm working on it. So then that was back at Christmas time that I went to the bookstore in Ames. More recently, I went to a bookstore in my area and picked up the sequel to Amari and the Night Brothers. This one is Amari and the Great Game. I read the first one last year and really enjoyed it, but I wanted to wait to get the second one until it was in paperback. So here it is. Excited to read this one. I enjoyed the first one thoroughly. I don't have any nostalgia for Harry Potter, so personally I thought this was better than Harry Potter. Don't hate me in the comments. I just really like this. If you liked Harry Potter and like Percy Jackson, you might enjoy this as well. Check it out. And then from that same small bookstore, I picked up Marissa Meyer's new book, With a Little Luck, which is the sequel to Instant Karma. I'm a little mad that these covers are such different vibes. Like, I want them to match more because they're the same series. But here we are. Instant Karma, I think I have a review for this one on my blog as well, is a contemporary, well, yeah, I think I'd call it contemporary. It's a romance, like a high school romance, which generally isn't, I don't really like reading about high schoolers falling in love. It's just kind of, I've been to high school, I did all that, I did my time. I don't want to read about high schoolers most of the time. But this is another summer book, and you know, they get up to all kinds of summer shenanigans, like on the beach. They go snorkeling, I believe. At some point, they're working at Sea Life Rescue Center, and it's just super cute. So I want to reread this one when we get closer to summer, and then read this one, which is about the main character in this, is twin brother. And then last week, I went to another independent bookstore that's kind of in my area, and I got a couple more books. The first book that I got, I saw this, I was instantly intrigued by the cover because when I was a kid, I was very much an Egyptology kid. Like, I went through a phase where I just wanted to know everything about the pyramids and mummies and Cleopatra and Nefertiti and, you know, all of that stuff. I wanted to look at jars full of organs. It was so fascinating. And that interest has kind of waned as I've gotten older and interested in other things. But I saw this book and I read the back of it, and I was immediately just kind of brought back into that phase of my childhood, and I knew I had to get this, so I'm excited to read this one. And then while I was there, I was so excited. I'm gonna say excited about 1,000 times in this video. We're all just gonna have to deal with that. But I saw the Hedge Witch of Foxhall there, which I saw Darling Desi talking about on her channel. I believe that's where I saw it first. I saw somebody talking about it. I'm pretty sure it was Darling Desi. And looked it up on Goodreads and thought, oh, this sounds so good. I'll have to see if I can find that sometime. And then when I was at this bookstore, I saw it on the shelf. It was kind of tucked behind some things, and you know, I was moving some things around and I saw it and I grabbed it immediately, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. I've got my 2 books. But like, look at that cover. It's so cute. So that's kind of been my independent bookstore experience recently. I hope to go to more independent bookstores soon. They're so fun, and usually there's like a cute little gimmick with them. Sometimes they have a cafe or an animal, or you know, sometimes they feel so safe and cozy, and I love that about independent bookstores. Today, the reason why I thought about doing this video today was because I just got back from one of our local library's book sales. It was so fun. I went with my friend who we used to go to almost every book sale that this library had. We would go, we would peruse the shelves. We'd go so often that we kind of memorized what books were not wanted by people. We knew what was left behind every time, and we were like, oh, this one's still here. Nobody's interested in learning conversational Russian, I guess. We just had a fun time looking at books and buying books and having a good time together. And then for a while, I worked at that library, and it just so happened that every time there was a book sale, I was working when there was a book sale. So we weren't able to go together for like 2 years, and then COVID happened, and I picked up more hours, and now I'm full-time at a different library. And so I think it's been about 5 or 6 years since we'd been to a book sale at this library together, which was very sad. But then this friend asked me if I wanted to go this weekend, and I was like, oh my gosh. We went to the book sale, and here is what I got. First off, I've got this picture book, and I love picture books or anything illustrated by this illustrator here. She just does such an amazing job with, here, let me find the best picture. Look at this. Look at it. They're always so detailed and like beautifully done, and she always does these pretty edges. I just love it. So I have one by her, and I saw this one and I grabbed that too. I grabbed a Caroline B. Cooney book because I've read a few of them before. I never look for her books, but every time I come across one, I grab it and I read it, and it's always intriguing, but always so weird. There's one that I read by her about some kids who stole a stop sign and caused like a traffic accident, and then it was kind of about them dealing with their remorse from that. There's one about I think her most popular one is called The Face on the Milk Carton. It's about a girl who finds her own face on a milk carton as like a missing child, and she's like, why, I'm not a missing child, I have parents, and goes on this whole long finds out that, is she a missing child? What's going on there? There's another one that I think it's called The Stranger, and there's just this weird boy who I think is covered in mud, and he is really fascinated by this girl who's a normal high school girl. They're always so weird, but like I read through them so fast. So whenever I come across one, I just grab one, and I probably won't keep this, but I want to read it. And so once I read it, I'll probably redonate it or put it in a little book box somewhere, something like that. This one is called Flight Number 116 is Down. Then I found this one, which is called Camp Click, and I don't really know much about this one, but it takes place at a summer camp, and like I said, I'm looking for more summer children's books, so that's why I grabbed that one. Gregor the Overlander. I listened to like the first 3 books in the series when I was a kid. I think about them so much. They're by Suzanne Collins, the same author as The Hunger Games. So they're super well written. It's basically this kid who finds a portal to another world in his laundry room, and in this world there's giant talking rats and giant talking bats, and he's like the chosen one, and it's very bloody from what I can remember. For a kid's book, it's like very violent and kind of depressing, but I really want to reread them, so I saw this one and grabbed it. This one, it just looks cute. I probably won't keep it forever. I might pass it on to somebody, but I wanted to read it. It's called A Dragon in the Family. Look at this sad little dragon on the cover. I'm a sucker for dragon books. I always have been. I also picked up a Betty Crocker Guide to Easy Entertaining. It was a gift to someone's mom in 1960. It was published in 1959. It has that kind of musty old book smell. But I saw a recipe for Canadian cheese soup, and I said, I'm taking this home with me. And then I found this one called Wisdom's Kiss, which I believe is a YA book. This is like an ARC copy of it. I mostly just grabbed it because the author, Catherine Gilbert Murdoch, wrote another book that I remember really liking called Princess Ben. It's been such a long time since I read that, but I remember really, really liking it, and I think about it from time to time. When a book, that I read in my childhood pops up in my mind again, in, my adulthood, it makes me think, oh, that was a good book. It can stick with me that long. So I'm hoping this one will be like that and be a good one. That's what I got from the book sale and from the independent bookstores. And I know what I just said about I try to avoid buying books off of Amazon, but a lot of times independent authors, you can only buy their books on Amazon because they're published through Amazon's kind of self-publishing thing. And they're available on like Kindle Unlimited a lot of times, but I don't have a Kindle, and I don't really want to get the Kindle app because I don't like e-readers very much. I think that they are important, but it's not always for me. So sometimes I will buy paperbacks off of Amazon for independent authors. And I just, when I got home from the book sale, found a package on my doorstep, which has some books that I recently ordered. So I figured we could open it together. Okay, first up we have So You Survived the End of the World Volume 2 by Casey Cordell. I read the first one of these. They're very thin. They don't take very long to get through. The first one was really good. It was just kind of a short post-apocalyptic story. It's about a DJ in the apocalypse. He drives around in this van playing a radio show, and there's like evil creatures all over the place and that kind of thing. So I enjoyed the first one. It was a short, weird adventure. And then I got Vanilla Bean Vampire, which is a cozy fantasy mystery series. It's like, I think she works in a bakery. Yeah, she runs a bakery. Her name is Reese. She's a pie witch. She works in a bakery, and she's dating the handsome Prince Forrest of the Autumn Court. But people around her are starting to vanish and returning hours or days later with no memory of their missing time. And then her delivery boy goes missing. So she sets aside her pies, determined to get to the bottom of the mystery. I'm guessing there's a vampire involved somewhere, but it looked really cute. It's one that I came across on TikTok and wanted to read, so I grabbed that, and I'm excited to see what happens in it, and I will review it on my blog when I finish with it. And then last but not least, well, that's a different texture, interesting, The Warlock's Bride by R.L. Medina. I just finished The Fae's Bride by the same author. And this is the first in the series, and this is the second in the series. It's the Silveri sisters, I believe. Yeah, Silveri sisters, book 1, book 2. It's, okay, I reviewed this on my blog too, so I won't ramble on forever about them. It is beautiful, wonderful, fantastic, cottagecore vibes set in an Italian-inspired kingdom. I so enjoyed the setting of this book. I wanted to crawl inside and live in this book. However, I hated the romance plot in this book. And it is a romance, so that's kind of a problem. It was so insta-lovey. They fell in love before they even really spoke to each other. There was no communication between them, but suddenly they're in love. I didn't really understand it. Both the characters were fine. They were a little flat, but there was no connection at all between them. And I kept waiting for the point where, they'd have some time alone together, get to know each other, fall in love. They barely had any time alone together. The male lead spent more time with her sisters than he did with her, I think. He at least talked to them more than he talked to her. It was so weird. I don't know. It was like he saw her, she saw him, they couldn't stop thinking about each other, but they never talked to each other, and then they're in love. I don't know. The romance was not, I did not like it. Was not for me. The setting was so good though, and the descriptions of like the mountainside and the dusty path and the flowers, and it's very Italian inspired, so there's food and everything. It's just the romance is not it. Still, because I enjoyed the setting so much, I ordered the second book, and depending on how this one goes, I will probably order 3rd, 4th, and 5th books when they are released. I hate and love this book. Read my review, see if you think it is something that you'd be interested in. It's on my blog, which I will link below. So that's the situation with these. So that's kind of all the books that I've hauled recently. It's a lot of them, and I need to find space for them on my shelves, which is a good problem to have. I am very happy and fortunate to be able to purchase as many books as I do. I have not been reading a ton lately. I have mostly been reading for work, for book club. It meets once a month, which feels like so much. It's not that much, but it feels like so much. And they're not usually books that I would seek out to read otherwise, like for pleasure reading. they're usually more mysteries or contemporary fiction, because it's hard to get seniors interested in reading genre fiction unless it's a mystery. And this book club really is for the seniors in our area, which I think is great. I'm glad that we have that for them, and I am happy to be the point person for that. It's just hard because I don't really like reading contemporary fiction, and I'm very slowly getting into mystery more and more, but it's not really my preferred genre. You know, the books from my senior book club have kind of been taking up most of my reading energy lately. And on top of that, I have been writing more and trying to edit the book that I am writing. If you go to my website, which is ohmybookishness.weebly.com, on that website there is a new page called Letters from Tigurium. Tigurium is the name of the kingdom in the book that I'm writing. It's a cozy fantasy about a witch and her cat and their cozy adventures together and their not so cozy adventures together when the story kind of takes on a more Princess Bride plotline. And that has really been, writing that series or that book has really been like a passion project of mine lately, and I am so excited for it. I am so thrilled to be editing it, to be at the point where the rough draft has been finished. I'm on my second reread through right now, which is very exciting. I'm kind of going through and like editing the little details and pulling out things that don't make sense and that kind of thing. It's so thrilling. And this is a book that I hope to publish someday. And one of the things that I'm doing as kind of a side project for the book is the Letters from Tigurium, which is, I've been sending mail to some of my friends with letters from the side characters in this book so that I can get to know the side characters a little bit better. And I don't know, it's just kind of a fun thing to do. I send little notes to some of my friends. I post these letters on the website if you want to read them. And sometimes I post behind the scenes information and character profiles and that kind of thing. But it's been really fun. I send like a letter. I'll send little goodies along. The most recent letter that I sent out was from a florist in the story. And so there's a pack of forget-me-not seeds in there that she's sending to someone. So it's been very fun to do, and working on that and the actual editing of the story has taken up a lot of my bookish energy. So I have not been reading as much. I've been reading for the senior book club and I've been editing. And if I read something else, if I read one book a month for myself, I consider that a win. And I think I've been doing pretty okay with that. So I don't have a lot of books to talk about or a lot of books to review. I've been doing the best that I can. I think that's gonna wrap it up for this video today. Thank you for joining me for an episode of Chatter. Hopefully I will get back to posting videos regularly, but summer is upon us and summer is the busiest time of year for the library. So don't be surprised if I disappear for the next 4 months. We'll see what happens. Thank you. I don't know how to end a video, so bye!